Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're just learning a bit about safety, and so we have some wilderness survival course. That's what we're doing today. And then yesterday, we had a few people from the office come in and talk to us about fire behavior, fire investigation, fire ignition, and just things like that.
It's a 20-man unit crew, and what the unit crew does essentially is sustained action, so they're on a fire until it's out. So they're putting out all the hot spots, containing the perimeter, and putting out the fire.
The 20-person firefighting crew came out of the flat top review of the fires that burned into the communities around the Slave Lake area and Slave Lake. So this crew would be sent to the fire in a big group of 20, be able to be on the fire until it's extinguished.
So sometimes we'll be asked to overnight on a fire. So anything to make it more comfy for us throughout the night and safer for us too. And so, you know, we're learning how to make these backpacks, and even though we have our own backpacks, it's also kind of fun for the guys to get together and try these things out on their own, and it's really good for team building and whatnot too.
Your human physiology is quite simple. You need to stay, if you have no injuries, you need to stay warm and hydrated. So when you understand those principles, up here in the Northern Boreal, we've got lots of fresh water, we've got snow in the winter, so usually if you have the ability to purify water, that's off the list. And staying warm, well, once you've mastered fire, we put a lot of emphasis on fire, because in all conditions, wet and cold, if you've carrying the reliable system to start fire and you've mastered fire, then you can stay warm. Well, are you in a survival situation anymore, or are you just camping? Survival means that you're running the risk of dying. If you're no longer going to die, if you're just waiting rescue, you can go 40 days without food. So if you can stay warm and hydrated and keep your mental capacity, maybe get a little bit of sleep, so we have some strategies that we teach for that, then really you're no longer in a survival situation. Little teeny idiosyncrasies and skill sets that are easily learned, but again, a lot of them, you'll slap yourself in the forehead at some point and say, geez, why didn't I think of that? Or it's so simple. But tried, proven, and practiced, I mean, often it's just these little things that you sort of need to know that can make a big difference. After you've developed a certain skill set, you can get by with what we call the 5 C's. So it's cordage, so stuff to bind with, a cutting tool, so hopefully a knife or an axe or a saw, but everybody has their preference there. A container, because one of the issues we have all the time is purifying water, and it's one of the hard things without a certain skill set. There's lots of ways to build containers, but to carry one, you're way further ahead. Cover. So that means some different things, but usually it's adequate clothing. It can mean like shelter and tent and things like that, but at its base level, it's clothing. And the last one is combustion, so the means with which to start a fire. So if you think of your 5 C's and you had those things with you and a small skill set to go with it, you can basically exist fairly comfortably.
We came here last year and we never had none of this, like this stuff to learn, so but this is a new experience and it's pretty dead, it's wild. That pack for one thing, they give us a day pack that's a strap on, put us sort of 2000s up, but back then, when I started fire, we didn't have these packs, so that would have came in handy back then.
We went into this winter with dry ground conditions and the low snowfall amount we've had. It's extremely dry and it is an early spring. We've seen in the Slave Lake area 24 fires and just about 47 hectares burnt, and that's very unusual for the month of April. Our firefighters are qualified and highly trained and ready to action any new wildfires that may start over this fire season.
I think that sort of protective instinct for each of us, like it kind of almost builds a form of camaraderie within the crew, I think. We have to like protect, it's everything else kind of for us sort of thing. I think that's important. Like it really builds as a team that these are our priorities and we all kind of, yeah, step to it.
Every fire is different, and every time we go into the bush it's different, so it's good to have all these skills. I mean, the first thing they talked about was how to use your knife properly, and we all carry knives on us because we never know when we have to use them. So first thing he's telling us is safety with knives and just little ways of moving your hands and just so that you don't cut yourself or hurt somebody else around you. So it's a pretty awesome experience to be able to overnight on a fire, and you work late and then you get a good sleep or somewhat of a good sleep in the bush, and then you get up early and start fighting the fire again.